Edilberto Leonardo. According to Tan's affidavit, Leonardo was referred to as the boss of Arthur Narsolis, key police officer. Narsolis allegedly approached Tan in July 2016 to arrange the killing of Chinese drug lords in exchange for money and freedom. Tan accepted the offer because he believed in Leonardo's capabilities and connections to high-ranking officials. When questioned about Tan's allegations, Leonardo denied involvement but acknowledged being aware of Narsolis' actions. Royima Garma established a relationship with President Duterte between 2011 and 2015 while serving as police commander in Davao City. Upon Duterte's presidency, Garma assumed the position of chief of the Cebu City Police, where she clashed with then-Mayor Tomas Osmeña over the rising number of killings in the city. Tan's affidavit implicated Garma as one of Narsolis' bosses and suggested a relationship between Narsolis and Garma. There were also allegations that she visited a former police officer, Jimmy Fortaleza, in prison. Fortaleza claimed that during her visit, Garma inquired about the whereabouts of detained Chinese drug lords, implying her involvement in the planning of targeted killings. The House of the Representatives is holding a hearing to investigate the matter, but both Garma and Leonardo have denied the allegations made by earlier witnesses.
It's an online article and the title is Duterte controls Davao Death Squad-style drug war through crony cops Leonardo and Garma. Yan po yung nabasa ko na article. And what can you say about that article, Commissioner Leonardo?
Hindi ko po nabasa, Mr.
Hindi mo
Chair.
nabasa.
Hindi ko po
Well,
alam.
anyway, the article is based on the complaint filed before the ICC, naming you as one of the respondents. Na kayo raw po ang nag-implement ng DDS style na drug war ng former President Duterte. What can you say about that, Commissioner Leonardo?
Sir Chair.
So, kilala mo ba si Edgar Matubato, Commissioner Leonardo?
Personally, hindi po.
But you've heard of him.
Nakita ko po sa TV.
Nakita mo
Napanood
sa
ko po
TV that he confessed that he was one of the gunmen for DDS. Tama ba?
Yeah, napanood ko po.
Napanood mo.
Sinasabi po niya yun.
And siya din ang nagsabi na kayo daw ni Garma yung nagma-micromanage on how the DDS or the drug war is to be conducted.
Hindi po totoo yun, Mr. Chair.
Hindi totoo. So, hindi naman totoo na sinasabi ng ibang tao na because of your management style of how the drug war was conducted, you are close to the former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Tama po?
Actually, lahat naman po ng police officers sa Davao City ay close po kay pag nasa ka po ng Davao City, kasali po kayo sa mga meeting with the former Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Because
Mr. Chair.
Duterte was also very active when it comes to the handling of the police officers in Davao City as mayor. Di ba? Tama ba?
Tama po, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. Pati po armed forces, kasama
Pati
po
armed
namin
forces.
during
In your
mga
meetings, di ba?
po.
So,
Opo.
sabay mga AFP, PNP. Kaya malapit siya with these people.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So sa dami ng officers sa Davao City, ilan yung na-appoint as undersecretary? Ilan din?
Marami po.
Marami din.
Bago po kami, marami po eh. Marami pong, hindi ko lang po
Sobra 10 ba? More than 5?
I'm not sure of the number, Mr. Chair. Pero meron lang po akong mga ilan na alam na naging USEC po.
Okay, but you're one of those. Tama mo?
Yes, I'm one of
Yes,
those, Mr.
you're
Chair.
one of the lucky few officers close to Duterte who was appointed as an undersecretary of a department.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Now, do you know SPO4 Arthur Las Cañas?
Opo, kilala ko po siya, Mr. Chair.
Kilala mo?
Police po sa Davao, Mr. Chair.
Yes. So you knew him before the mayor became president.
Pakiulit po, Mr. Chair.
Nakilala mo si SPO4 Art Las Cañas before naging presidente si Mayor Duterte.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now, I also lived in Davao, no? Pero did Art Las Cañas have the reputation of being close to Duterte also?
I think so, Mr. Chair.
Oh, you think so or you know so? Alam
I
ng
think
lahat ng
so,
mga
hindi-
pulis doon eh, na
Naririnig ko lang po, Mr. Chair.
naririnig mo
Apo.
rin. Na, how about you, Colonel Garma? Tanong lang, no? Yeah, side question lang to sa iyo. Do you know Art Las Cañas?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you know also his reputation as being close to the president before the president became president, while he was still mayor of Davao City?
I'm not very familiar kung close sila or what.
You're not. So you're
Mr.
not
Chair.
familiar with the heinous crime section unit?
I am familiar, Mr. Chair.
And who was heading that unit?
I cannot recall anymore, Mr. Chair. That was
Art Las Cañas
long
wasn't
time
part
ago.
of that?
I'm not sure,
You're
Mr.
not sure.
Chair.
But you were in Davao during that time, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Leonardo. So Art Las Cañas also mentioned na ito nga, yung drug war was conducted in a very similar way dun sa sabi nilang DDS at the time when the mayor was still mayor of Davao City. Yun ang sinasabi niya in his interviews and in his testimony before the Senate before. Narinig niyo po ba?
Naririnig po sinasabi niya, Mr. Chair.
Na yung mga nasa lista daw ay either eliminated or killed or forever disappears. Na nag-testify siyang parang ganon. Narinig niyo po ba?
Narinig ko po na sinasabi niya, Mr. Chair.
Ni Art Las Cañas. Sa tingin niyo po, in your personal opinion, may involvement ba si Art Las Cañas sa DDS na sinasabi niya?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair.
Okay, now as
Narinig ko lang
CIDG,
po sinabi niya.
as CIDG chief na region, sa Region 11, can you say for a fact na walang DDS na grupo na nag-ooperate in Davao City?
During my time, 2016, wala po akong na...
How about prior to that?
witness,
Have you heard na merong ganun?
Meron lang ako naririnig kasi may investigation po nung mga previous years po, prior to 2016, Mr. Chair.
Now, yung position mo as USEC sa DNR, is it, may security of tenure ba yun?
Wala po, Mr. Coterminous.
So, coterminous ka.
Hindi po siya plantilyada, Mr. Chair.
Do you think that's why you were appointed sa Napolcom because it is a more secured position? Because it's a fixed term position?
Possibly, Mr. Chair.
Possibly. Now, how would you react to the statement ba na you are a police officer who has been accused? In fact, may mga articles nga na you were the one running the DDS-style drug war, and yet you end up being appointed as Commissioner of the National Police Commission. What would be your reaction to that statement? Meaning, pulis ka na not free from issues on extrajudicial killings, pulis ka na not free from allegations of involvement in the killings that took place against drug personalities or something like that, no? In fact, I heard na you were the one responsible for making the narco list. Yun ang nabalitaan ko eh. So, these are issues, I'm sure you will deny that, no? Pero these are issues that have been hounding you. Yet you were appointed as commissioner for Napolcom. Don't you find that odd? Don't you find that strange? Commissioner Leonardo?
Hindi naman po, Mr. Chair. Qualified naman po ako bilang Napolcom Commissioner, Mr. Chair.
Qualified, as you say, but is it free from insinuations of wrongdoing as a police officer?
Again po, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko po
Sabi ko, qualified ka nga siguro, but are you free from insinuations of wrongdoings as a police officer? Based on the article and yung mga naririnig na mga kwento-kwento about your participation or your role?
Mga insinuation po niya, mga opinion po nila yan, Mr. Chair. Wala po akong masasabi tungkol doon.
But no case was filed against you naman?
Wala po.
In relation to the insinuations?
Wala naman
Wala
po,
naman.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now, Colonel Garma, You were appointed as OIC Cebu Police Chief in the year 2018 na po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
2018. Now, prior to your stint as OIC Police Chief in Cebu City, who was the Police Chief of Cebu City?
Sir, Colonel Doria, Mr. Chair.
Colonel Doria.
Ay, Your Honor.
Now, there are allegations kasi that when you took over as Police Chief of Davao City, doon umakyat yung patayan sa Cebu City in relation to the drug war. What can you say to that?
Mr. Chair, during my stint, I intensified police operation po. 24/7 po ang patrol ko in those area na identified na drug den.
Okay.
So, since po na more aggressive po yung patrol, marami po kaming nahuhuli at na-aaresto po
At
na involved sa drugs po.
How about the deaths po?
And-
My question is related to the deaths that occurred.
I cannot recall, Mr. Chair, kung may mga deaths during police operation, but definitely I'm sure kung mayroon pong mga ganun sitwasyon, ay nasunod lang po yung rules of engagement
Okay,
of
question.
self-defense po.
The drug war started in the year 2016. Tama po ba? 2016, when President
Yes,
Duterte took over.
yes, Your Honor.
So there was a year and a half siguro na iba pa yung Chief of Police sa Cebu when the drug war started. Before you took over, 2018 ka na eh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So now, if we are to compare the number of deaths sa Chief of Police na pinalitan mo at saka sa term mo, who do you think had more deaths? You or yung pinalitan mo?
Mr. Chair, during my time,
It's a categorical question naman. Sino mas maraming patay?
Mr. Chair, it depends sa performance ng city director. If I
I'm
want,
just asking you po,
I cannot...
ilan ang namatay? Saan mas marami namatay? In your term, let me finish my
yes,
question po. Was it during your term as the Chief of Police of Cebu City or was it during the other guy whom you replaced?
I cannot answer it, Mr. Chair, because I don't have the statistics.
Okay. So if we've secured the statistics and show it to you, na sa panahon mo, sobrang daming namatay sa Cebu. That's one of the reasons why Mayor Tommy Osmania was complaining about you. How would you react to that?
I think Mayor Osmeña is just being personal to me, Mr. Chair.
Being personal. Mr. Chair, I think it's important, Mr. Chair, that we also invite the former Mayor Tommy Osmeña to testify before this committee as far as Colonel Garma is concerned, Mr. Chair. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion to invite former Mayor Tommy Osmeña
Yes,
in the
Mr.
next
Chair.
hearing of the Quad. Duly seconded. Hearing no objection, the motion is carried. Comsec, please extend the invitation to the former Mayor of Cebu City, Mayor Tommy Osmeña.
Thank you, Mr. For my last question, Mr. Chair, I'm just gonna
Please proceed.
tie something up. Yung mga testimonies ng mga nandito, especially with Colonel Padilla and Colonel Garma, they both said that at one point in time, Colonel Padilla was in the office of Leonardo, and Colonel Garma confirmed that she saw Colonel Padilla in the office of Commissioner Leonardo. Yet Commissioner Leonardo still denies having had Colonel Padilla in your office and that you've never met Colonel Padilla before. Tama po ba?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
So now, how would it be na one person says that I was there, another person, unrelated whatsoever to our Colonel Padilla, confirms the presence of that guy and her presence also in that office, and then all of a sudden you say, that did not happen. So are you saying po that Colonel Padilla and Colonel Garma are both lying even if they are not really helping each other out as far as to their presence in your office, Commissioner Leonardo?
Mr. Chair, sa natatandaan ko po, wala po.
Sa natatandaan mo lang. So you never recall having them both there.
Hindi po, wala po akong maalalang ganun po, Mr.
And
Chair.
even if Colonel Padilla under oath executes an affidavit that I was there, Colonel Garma under oath in her testimony now says that she saw Padilla there. You still deny it? Or just not remember it?
Baka po nakita niya si Padilla sa office ko, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko po alam.
Tinatanong nga, please answer me directly. Colonel, please.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Do you know CO3 Jake Carabe? Oh, yan na naman. Hindi mo na matandaan.
Naalala ko po.
Oh, kilala mo?
Kilala ko po, member po siya ng club namin po.
Oh, member ng
Member po ng club ng...
Colonel Padilla, do you know CO3J Carabe?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Now you know J. Carabe, but you don't know Colonel Padilla, CO3 Harabe. Alam ko na po yung kwento, Colonel. Better cooperate. Oh, now you're telling this committee that you know J. Carabe because of the club, but you never know personally Superintendent Padilla. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, as for now, doon lang po muna. Let us see in the next hearing.
May I ask po si Colonel Leonardo, sa opinion niya po, ano po yung iyong opinion sa mga paratang na nandun po sa sinumpang salaysay ni, I believe yung sa iyo po, nabanggit po kayo ni Mr. Tan. How do you react to that? You deny it outright po, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Would you have any idea po kaya, Mr. Chair, kung how would he even know your name? Or bakit kayo pa, of all the people in Davao, kayo pa po yung naituro ni Mr. Tan?
I have no idea, Mr. Chair, bakit binabanggit niya yung pangalan ko, Mr. Chair.
And together with Colonel Leonardo, si Mr. Tan also mentioned in his affidavit, paragraphs 3, 16, 17, also pointed to Colonel Garma. Colonel Garma, may I ask you po, would you have any idea bakit kayo po yung tinuturo ni Mr. Tan?
Hindi ko rin po alam, Mr. Chair.
So sa affidavit po ni Mr. Tan, nakachamba po siya ng dalawang PNPA na batch 97-98 na nagsama sa Davao. Coincidentally lang po.
Mr. Chair, I do not know his intention, Mr. Chair.
Well, I think it's not just si Mr. Tan po, no? Well, of course, si Mr. Fortaleza hindi na po yung chamba. For him to mention you, Colonel Garma, from paragraphs 2 to 8, syempre kilala po kayo. Kayo po ay classmates, no? So I don't think there's any doubt. As to the motives of Mr. Fortaleza, that's yet for us to decide. But for Mr. Padilla po, who has nothing to do exactly with the PNP structure, he's mentioned you multiple times from paragraphs 5 to 10. And siguro naman po ito, hindi chamba because you admitted to, although you don't admit to the facts in his sinumpang salaysay, you admit to knowing him, so it's not a coincidence po naman siguro. Would that be a fair statement, Colonel Garma?
It's not a fair statement, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Can you explain po?
He lied on the first hearing. The second hearing, because he was detained, might be he realized that sa kanya lahat ang siyang may kasalanan. He need a fall guy. And it's easy to just blend on the facts presented during the first hearing. And it's easy to say he feared his life, Mr. Chair.
In the same way that he said he feared his life because of you.
Hindi po ako nakakatakot, Mr. Chair. Perception lang nila yun, pero hindi po ako nakakatakot.
Well, I'll take your statement as it is po. And I agree. Tama rin naman po. But that's why we're here. We
Yes.
take our evidences together and we assess them as a committee. Yet, you can only talk about the statement of Mr. Padilla. But how do we account for the statements of Mr. Tan, Mr. Andy, that would pin you? How do we take into consideration the statement of Mr. Las Cañas that has pinned both of you, coincidentally, to Lacan's box in Davao, coincidentally natag po? And how do we now explain the coincidence also that you both face cases with the ICC? That's not a question, sorry. I'm just wondering here po, no? Because like we said po, the basis for our evidence here, it's a he said, she said thing. But there are a lot of hymns saying that she did it. And there's only her saying that she did not. In the case of Mr. Leonardo, of course, he's also saying that he did not. I think that's just something for us to consider moving forward. We're not saying this with finality, pero again, as with the seems to be the theme of this committee hearing, maraming coincidences abound. And I think I would have more questions, but I'll reserve it for a future time.
Colonel Padilla, anong motibo? Bakit nyo po, meron ho ba kayong motibo kung ba't nyo nabanggit si Colonel Leonardo at saka si Colonel Garma dito sa inyong sinumpaang salaysay?
Wala po akong motibo, Your Honor. But I knew them through Jimmy Fortaleza.
So nakilala nyo sila, yung kanilang mga pangalan because of Jimmy Fortaleza.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, si Jimmy. Jimmy, narinig mo yung sagot ni Colonel Garma na maaaring ang motibo mo dahil ikaw daw ay humingi ng tulong at hindi kanya natulungan. Anong masasabi mo naman doon?
Your Honor, nung unang punta po nila dun sa Dapicol, actually wala pa kaming number ni Garma. Nagulat na lang ako, pumunta sila doon at binisita ko. Nung pagbisita niya, ang tinanong niya kung nasaan ba,
Pakilapit
nasaan
mo
po ba yung mga yung mga Chinese? At sinabi ko sa kanya, nandyan sa foreigners quarter. Sabi ko, bakit Bok? Sabi niya sa akin, meron kasi kaming operation dyan.
Okay. Yun ang pagkakasabi sa'yo.
Opo.
Kasi, Colonel Padilla, I still remember the last time that, the first time that we have invited you here, you have mentioned si Inspector Poro. Sinabi niya that kayo ang nag-order, but in your affidavit, sinabi mo that na out of loop ka na doon sa usapan. Di ba? Meron kasi binabanggit na ganito, di ba, na hindi mo na nalaman. At as a matter of fact, andun ka sa quarters mo nung mangyari yung krimen,
Yes,
di ba?
Your Honor. It was happened Saturday, and it was my rest day.
At ang binabanggit mo during that time, kasi nga, ang sinasabi namin yung command responsibility, di ba? Pero you were insisting, not executing pa yung second affidavit mo, you were insisting that it was indeed yung si guard commander, si Poro, ang siyang nag-order na ilipat yung dalawang PDL kasama nung tatlong Chinese. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, it was written in the blatter logbook by the ship
Yes,
commander.
and I got yung blatter report mo na nandito. Di ba? Kasi you submitted it to us nung kinuha ko at ang sinasabi mo na hindi mo na alam yung naging desisyon because apparently it took you so long para implement yung order nila. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
At in other words, parang sinasabi mo dito na tong si Inspector Poro acted on his own. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Can we invite Poro? Inspector Poro, kasi sinasabi mo during that time na si Colonel Padilla ang nag-utos sa'yo. Pero sa kanyang affidavit na sinumpaan ngayon, sinasabi niya na hindi niya na nalaman yung order kasi nga nainip na sila doon sa usapan na i-implement niya yung pagpatay doon sa tatlo. And according to him, ikaw ang nagdesisyon. Now, ngayon, ang tanong ko sa'yo, Inspector Poro, sino nag-utos sa'yo? Since hindi ka inutusan ni Colonel Padilla, sino ang nag-utos sa'yo para papasukin yung dalawang PDLs kasama yung tatlong Chinese nationals?
Si Superintendent Padilla po, Your
Paninindigan
Honor.
mo pa rin?
Opo.
Ha?
Opo, Your Honor.
Talagang ang sasabihin mo si Colonel Padilla pa rin?
Yes, opo, Your Honor.
Ha? So, meron kang written order coming from General Padilla?
Verbal order po, Your Honor.
What?
Verbal order po.
Ano na? Verbal?
Verbal order po, yes.
O how can you prove to us na yung verbal utos sa iyo? Paano mo papatunayan sa amin?
Ang totoo po yan, Your Honor, mayroong siyang inutusan na empleyado rin po.
Sino yung inutusan niya?
Si Officer Landro Hasim.
Okay.
Nung ginawa ko yung report ko, Your Honor, sa office, nung nadala na sa loob yung mga Chinese, dumating itong si Landro Hasim sa akin, sa opisina. Sabi niya, Sir, mayroong instruction si Sir Jerry. ipagsama sa isang silda yung Chinese at saka yung dalawang PDL natin. Dahil doon, tinawag ko ngayon yung ship commander, Mr. Villajos. Sabi ko sa kanya, ilagay mo sa isang silda yung tatlong Chinese at saka yung dalawang PDL natin, si Magdadaro at saka si Tan. Tapos doon, Your Honor, nung natapos ko na yung report ko, kasi nga Sabado man yun, hindi man hapon na, yung mga confiscated items na na-confiscate, dinala ko doon sa bahay ni Sir Jerry
Okay,
Padilla.
Inspector Poro, in the hierarchy of the decision-making, pang-ilang ka? Sa
Pangatlo po,
division?
pangatlo, Your Honor.
Pangatlo ka?
Opo.
Ang deputy si Quinto?
Opo.
Di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Opo.
Ngayon, sinabi sa iyo nung taong yon,
Yes, Your
di ba,
Honor.
na ilipat yung dalawa doon sa Chinese.
Yes, Your Honor.
Bilang the third highest ranking official doon sa colony. Bakit hindi mo sinabi kay Quinto? Ba't hindi mo siya kinausap?
Noong panahon na yun, Your Honor, on leave, dito sa
Sino ang leave?
NBP na yun si...
Sino ang leave?
Sa NBP noon na may OB pala si si Quinto, Pialis Quinto, siya, naka-OB sa NBP, kaya wala siya. Noong panahon na yun,
At
Your
ito
Honor.
naman,
Si Sir Jerry, doon sa bahay nila.
ba't hindi mo siya tinawagan?
Hindi, pagkatapos yun, Your Honor, ito, pagkatapos na bigyan ko ng instruction yung ship commander, mayroon ng instruction...
Tanong ko lang sa iyo, Poro,
opo.
bakit hindi mo siya tinawagan? Since andun naman pala siya sa quarters, ba't hindi ka nag-report sa kanya?
Your Honor, please.
Alam mo, Inspector Poro, mag-isip-isip ka muna, ha? Bago ka sumagot, ha?
Sir,
Kasi,
pwede-
Mr. Chairman, tingin ko, itong taong to, may kinalaman. At dahil hindi na nga ma-implement, at ayaw nang implement ni Colonel Padilla, ayaw na implement ni Colonel Padilla, kaya nga niya pinatagal, ito ang taong itong kinontak para mag-implement doon sa loob. So, mag-ingat-ingat ka, Inspector. Inspector Poro, no? Kasi, kapag hindi mo inayos yung mga sagot mo dito, sisiguraduhin namin sa susunod, maiiwan ka dito sa kongresong ito.
You both have been linked, mentioned in the ICC. Both of you have served in the span of time when the Oplan Tokhang and the double barrel was being implemented aggressively. And both of you also, in the very short span of time, have transferred from one position to another. I was listening earlier, Mr. Chair, to the timeline when current Commissioner Leonardo was appointed as director, and then for a few months, appointed as undersecretary, and after a while, appointed to the commission. Similarly, Police Colonel Royima Garma decided to avail of the optional retirement in advance and was appointed as general manager. No. The point I am trying to say, Mr. Chair, is what they're telling this committee is that everything happened accidentally. Na parang yung affidavits din po nung tatlong si Mr. Fortaleza, si Chief Superintendent Padilla, and si Mr. Tan and Magdadaro are all product of their own imagination. Kasi hindi ho nila pinapatunayan. Do you still maintain that position na hindi ho totoo yung mga affidavits nila? Itong apat na tao na ito na hindi naman magkakamag-anak? Na hindi naman nag-work together? I'll start with you po, Commissioner Leonardo. Do you still say na hindi po totoo yung sa affidavit po na sinalaysay na pinirmahan ng apat po na mga resource persons natin dito? You were here, no? Last committee hearing, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So would you say na hindi totoo yung sinasabi po nila na yung involvement po ninyo, your name was mentioned in the case of these three for nationals, no, for Chinese nationals who were killed inside the selda. Tama po ba?
Opo, hindi po totoo.
Hindi po
Mr.
totoo.
Chair.
Kayo din po, Police Colonel GM Garma, para sa inyo hindi po totoo yan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hindi po talaga totoo. So, ibig sabihin, gawa-gawa po nila. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Kayo po, Commissioner Leonardo, gawa-gawa din po nila ito?
Palagay ko po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, so, yung bilang CIDG, the regional director po, is it part of your jurisdiction to supervise or monitor the Davao Prison Colony?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
Tama, no? Hindi. But your office is closer to how far is the CIDG regional office to Davao Colony?
Estimate lang po, Mr. Chair, probably around 40 to 50 kilometers, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, hindi naman ho kayong... So, hindi, pupunta po kayo doon sa Davao Prison Colony?
Nakapunta po ako doon.
Okay. So, sinasabi nga po ninyo na hindi nyo... Na-meet nyo po ba si Jimmy Fortaleza, si Mr. Magdadaro, Mr. Tan, at saka si Chief Superintendent Padilla?
Nung time na yun, hindi po, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Kayo po, GM Garma, kilala niyo po yung dalawa? Si Mr. Tan, si Mr. Magdadaro?
No, Your Honor.
Si Jimmy Fortaleza lang yung kilala niyo dahil kabok niyo, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Opo. Paano po, Mr. Chair, Colonel Royima Garma, kilala niyo po si Chief Superintendent Padilla, ng Bucor?
Yeah, I met him, Your Honor.
Ilang beses po?
Once only, Your Honor.
Okay. Pero yung dalawa, hindi niyo po na-meet?
Hindi po, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Mr. Chair, gusto kong tanungin si Leopoldo Tan. Kilala niyo ho ba si Commissioner Leonardo? Bago po nangyari yung sinasabi niyo pong insidente?
Sa pangalan lang po.
Okay.
Dahil sa...
Pero hindi niyo po na-meet?
Hindi po.
Okay. Kayo po, Mr. Magdadaro?
Hindi po namin na-meet po.
Okay. Pero hindi niyo ho siya kilala? Ito yung pangalan na hindi niyo naririnig parate?
Opo.
Okay. Hindi ko natatanungin si Jimmy Fortaleza at saka si Padilla kasi meron atang mga okasyon. What is so confusing, Mr. Chair, is that all of these four individuals mentioned these names. At hindi naman pupunta si Commissioner Leonardo. According to him, hindi naman siya bumibisita paragi sa Davao Penal Code, Penal Farm kasi medyo malayo at saka hindi sa jurisdiction niya. Si GM naman, Garma, although kilala niya si Jimmy Fortaleza, ay hindi rin niya kilala itong dalawa. For an average-minded person, how can four individuals who don't share rooms together, who don't work together, happens to mention these two names? Citing a specific case, a specific circumstance, a specific date. Unless there are a Pulitzer writer na maniniwala ako sa imagination nila, para sa akin, Mr. Chair, it's quite impossible for an ordinary-minded person to come up with the same story. I don't think they are too endowed with their imagination to come up with that kind of story involving specific names, individuals na hindi naman kilala. And what's so striking, Mr. Chair, is that it happened at the height of the Oplan, Tokhang, and subsequently the double barrel. Now, I'd like to ask po, kasi marami pong similarities eh. Hindi ako naniniwala. Ano sabihin pa ba natin na coincidence yung imagination nila, nag-isip-isip silang tatlo? Pare-pareho, nag-corroborate yung kanilang testimonies? I don't think so. That's not a coincidence for me. So, wag nyo na rin pong sabihin na maybe that's all coincidence. So now, I'd like to ask you po, Commissioner Leonardo, Kanina po, tinatanong po kayo kung naging successful ba para sa inyo yung oplang tukhang and yung double barrel. Gusto ko lang pong marinig uli sa inyo.
In general po, successful po para
So
sa
pag
akin.
sinabi niyo pong successful, you stick your life to it, you really believe and you really support, no? Pag sinabi mong successful, of course, bakit mo sasabihin successful isang bagay kung hindi ka naman sumusuporta? Tama ho ba?
Tama po.
Okay, so you really support. Kayo po, Colonel Garma, would you say that the war on drugs at that time was really successful?
I don't think so, Mr. Chair.
So you don't think so?
Um,
How many deaths again
po-
have we recorded during your stay in Cebu City? You don't think the war on drugs, let's be specific about it because I heard you responding to the question na let's not call it war on drugs because we don't use that. Okay, let's use the terminology under your policy no, at that time. It's tokhang, oplan tokhang, and oplan double barrel. So which of these two policies, no, or yung program, do you think is more successful or both of them are successful?
Mr. Chair, yung tokhang po, parang hindi ko pa naabutan, hindi pa yun, I think, na-implement.
No, it's
it's
okay.
more on police operations and patrol po.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's a fair
Yes, Chair.
response. But I'll give you that. Do you think being part of the previous administration, would you say that it was successful?
As far as my stint in Cebu City as city director, I think it is successful based on the feedback of the people in the community, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so now my second question is, Mr. Chair, I'd like to take advantage of the presence of our dean here, Attorney Dean Sheljokno. Dean, you are very, you follow, you minomonitor niyo po yung war on drugs, no? Yung casualties, no? Tama po ba 'yon, Mr. Chair, Dean?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Your Honor.
Yeah.
Since the war on drugs began, my organization, the Free Legal Assistance Group, ay talagang minamanman po namin yung mga pangyayari sa war on drugs.
Okay. Dean, do you have in the way yung work po ninyo, meron ho ba kayong kunan na data kung ilan po yung mga napaslang, yung those who weren't given or accorded with the due right of at least man lang makita the day of in court, especially those who have been killed na mga inosente. May number po ba kayo, Mr. Chair? Din.
Kami po ay naghain ng isang petisyon sa Supreme Court noong 2017 or 2018 at lumabas sa isang extended resolution ng court na sa unang 17 months pa lang ng war on drugs, that is from July 1, 2016 up to the end of November 2017, 20,322 Filipinos were killed in the war on drugs. So yun palang unang 17 buwan po ng war on drugs.
Mr. Chair, Dean, can we categorize or do you have at least, meron po tayong categorization kasi alam ko may napatay po yung pananlaban, yung official police operation, and then meron po yung nasabi po nating namatay na vigilante type of killing. Ito po yung sinasabi nilang DDS type. Kanina, Congressman Flores was asking Commissioner Leonardo, yung DDS. Ito po yung DDS type of killing. Ito po yung mga vigilante na nakamask na hindi kilala at namamatay at mostly ang mga nagiging biktima just randomly. Just killing spraying, maski sino ang nandyan, nagkataon lang, malas ka lang pag nandyan ka sa kalsada. Kaya nga po, may namamatay na mga 9 years old, 14 years old. Ilan po ba ang, Mr. Chair, Dean, if I may, sa inyo pong palagay, alam ko wala ho kayong record ngayon, but can you at least give us a estimated number of those innocent civilians who have died and considered to be in the police report as collateral damage?
Well, ito po ang masasabi ko po. In the resolution of the Supreme Court citing the 2017 year-end accomplishment report ng Office of the President, of the 20,322 killed, 3,967 were killed in anti-drug operations. So kasama na po doon yung mga sinasabing nanlaban. While 16,355 homicide cases were under investigation, yun naman po ay kasama doon yung mga riding in tandem at yung iba't ibang mga vigilante type na killing.
Thank you po. Thank you very much, Dean. I'd like to ask po, Attorney Conti, you also do have a number of killed or victims of the double barrel in Oplan Tukhang.
Yes, Your
Am
Honor.
I correct?
Yes,
Can you
Your Honor.
also, do you also have similar number as what our good Dean here
Yes,
intimated to this committee?
Yes, actually, Your Honor, the numbers that we have are segregated according to, first, deaths during police operations. And the number that we have officially from #RealNumbersPH is 6,252 dead from police operations. According to our previous sessions, Your Honor, this number has reached 7,000 as of the end of the term of President Duterte. The other category of killings, the DDS type killings, the extrajudicial killings, is officially, I believe, classified as deaths under investigation or homicides under investigation. And Your Honor, the number actually I have for deaths under investigation is 29,000, according to the spokesperson of the Philippine National Police, Colonel Bernard Banac, as of March 2019. That is why, Your Honor, the number of dead range from 12,000 up to 30,000 from official sources. Even the CHR, the United Nations Office of Human Rights, of the High Commissioner on Human Rights, and the International Criminal Court, Your Honor, are looking at these numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So may I confirm also from Attorney Conti, because in previous committee hearings you were you were present during before the formation of the Quadcom. I believe you already had discussion on the EJK. Can you refresh the memory of this committee members? This committee, how many of those killed were innocent? At least give us just a...
Well, Your Honor, legally, the 29,000 would be innocent because they were killed outside of legal processes. They have not been proven guilty or convicted in any court, nor has any evidence been presented against them. In fact, in the course of the war on drugs,
yes.
everybody would be considered innocent.
Well, so what about, let me paraphrase my question just to be clear about it, no? Kasi may namatay naman po na mga drug pushers o sinasabi. But the collateral damage, I would say, yung sinasabi po nilang hindi part doon sa nila, doon sa warrant nila, pero namatay, no? Tulad ni Kian de los Santos, yung mga ganun pong mga klaseng individual. Do you have the number?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, we don't have these numbers.
Right,
It would be the PNP
Yes.
who can clarify.
That is correct. Thank you, Attorney Conti. Because that is correct. Because in the documents that we requested, ang number po nila is 400 plus, no? 400 plus doon. So now, I'll go back to Commissioner Leonardo. Do you also consider the death of these innocent civilians as a sign of success?
Hindi po. Hindi po successful pagka gano'n.
Okay. So let me ask you again. Do you think that the war on drugs of the previous administration is successful or not?
In general po, successful.
No, but you cannot qualify. Kasi ang tinanong kita, do you stick your life to it? Sabi mo, oh, you support that. Now, you are qualifying again. So let me ask you, do you think this collateral damage can just simply set aside? Or, let me ask you again, generally, sabi mo, it's a success, but we cannot also discount the fact that there were countless victims, died, innocent civilians. As a police officer, because your motto is to serve and protect, right? Am I correct? And as a commissioner now of NAPOLCOM, I'm sure that before you arrive, the NBank, before you arrive as part of your job, kaya nga tinatanong ko kung may selective amnesia ka kasi na mahirap po pag hindi mo natatandaan yung mga facts at yung mga dates kasi importante po yan sa trabaho mo. Hindi ho ba? Na before you arrive into adopt a resolution of the NBank, you really have to look at the data because you're like a quasi-judicial because you are rendering decision on the police officers that are facing administrative cases, right? So, tanungin kita, do you think the death of these civilians is a barometer or a measurement of the success of what you just said and admitted itong tokhang?
Hindi po.
Okay.
Hindi po.
Mr. Chair, the reason why I'm pointing that out because unang-una, kung babalikan po natin yung mga kasagutan ni Colonel Garma at saka Commissioner Leonardo, dahil mukhang lahat ito ay gawa-gawa daw ng kanilang katanghisip ng apat na ito at coincidence lahat. Kung titingnan natin po yung parallel na yung career path po nila, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think there's a reason why both of you were preferred over any other possible individuals who are, sorry to say, who are more qualified than in the case when the time that you were appointed as a director of the biodiversity. There are qualified individuals, a pool of experts that are more qualified with expertise, experience to the position, and yet you were chosen. And after how many months, you were then moved up to as a undersecretary of DNR. And subsequently now, you landed as one of the commissioners of the NAPOLCOM. And also, in the career path of Colonel Garma, both of them, by the way, availed of the optional retirement advance, the same case. I think both of you are preferred. I think both of you are favorably chosen. And both of you also supported the war on drugs. And both of you have said that it is successful. And unfortunately, Mr. Chair, with all due respect, Commissioner Leonardo and GM Garma, these four resource persons here, we have already established that it's impossible for them to come out with the same detailing, same instance, mentioning the same names, na unang-una kayo mismo nagsabi, imposibleng kilala nila kayo, imposibleng nagkaka-interact kayo. Alam po, mahirap pong paniwalaan yung ganun eh. Yung biglang may isip lang nila, hindi, baka itong person na ito nangyari. I mean, all of these affidavits corroborated each other. So, my point, Mr. Chair, is that I think your position now, and I'm sorry to say this, but this is my personal take. You were given that position precisely because you have done something that actually is worthy I don't know, from the previous administration's point of view, na worthy kayo bigyan ng ganyan. I'm sorry to say, but there are many of the official, marami pong pool of experts, but the question really is, bakit po kayo? And to me, the only explanation that I can derive at after listening to all your responses, I think you're preferred. And I think the positions that you have handled, with all due respect, yes, nag-serve po kayo sa gobyerno, and you may be decorated officers, but those are not just the primary consideration. I think the primary consideration is because you have supported the war on drugs, and you are preferred. Kasi pareho po yung track ng inyong profession and career.